Hey, guys, and welcome to another episode of WFM Tipsy Thursdays. I am your show host, the Contact Center Whisperer, the CEO and founder of Solid Rock Consulting. And I am super excited to be having this conversation. This week, we're talking about staffing and its relationship to workforce management, how it's all interconnected. And so this week, I am super excited to introduce to you none other Jewel over at Jewel. Remind me of the staffing company that you're at, but also tell the people a little bit more about why you fell in love with staffing. I'm super excited to hear about your journey into this space.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me, Juanita. I'm Jewel Salem with Salem Solutions. And I always joke and say people don't always plan to get into staffing. And so, my short story, because I come from an accounting and finance background, spent a good portion of the early part of my career focused on that. And then I always like to say, when you're in small business, you just want to help your customers out however you can. And so we had one with just kind of out the gate, had a high volume call center staffing need. And at the time, it was myself and our HR manager, and no fault of her own. She had to go on unexpected leave. And I'm just kind of that personality that, we're not going to let the customer down. We're going to do whatever it takes to figure it out. And so, really, my entry into staffing was, we affectionately like to call it, kind of smiling and dialing, reaching out to candidates, getting the interview schedule lined up, and just really come to love the challenge of especially having to recruit and onboard a large volume of people very quickly, and ensuring that they have the needed skill set to then ultimately help the clients that we support meet with success.
That's awesome. So your first type, like you almost like your first entry into the staffing space was you having to just like kind of pick up the phone and start
Figure it out.
recruiting. That's
Yeah,
crazy. That's great.
absolutely.
And if you don't mind me asking, how many people did you have to recruit in that instance?
Yeah, so I think out the gate they were needing 100 people, and so it was going through a process of the client interviewing them as well. And so with that, you certainly have to recruit. I mean, sometimes double the amount of people to make sure that
Yeah.
that final number is going to get them to what's needed, especially from a workforce management target. So yeah, just jumped in and like I said, just figured it out.
Now that's really interesting. So in this particular, it's so interesting that you said that because in this particular episode, I wanted to definitely talk about the correlation between staffing as well as workforce management. And so you said something there that I think is super key. Many times you have to recruit double the amount that the client is actually going to need. Can you elaborate on that? Why is that?
Absolutely. Um, well, kind of a number of factors. I mean, I think even as we see ourselves now with post pandemic, a lot of call center positions, a good portion of them being remote these days. So there's a lot more competition for that type of role in the marketplace. And so, sometimes depending on the timeline in which, even they were selected to getting them started, we see if sometimes that gap is too extended. These folks need a job and they need a job tomorrow. So if they're having to sometimes wait 30 or more days, they're accepting of other opportunities even after offers have been extended. So yeah, or just life, things come up, and so just getting to that target does require a tremendous amount of recruitment time to be able to get to that target number.
So I thought this was such a great conversation because many times people don't see the connection between, I have a saying, I say this all the time, workforce management needs to be in everybody's business, right? Like workforce needs to be in HR's business, workforce needs to be in IT's business, workforce needs to be in everybody's business because workforce management directly impacts operations, and operations is a combination of these different things that makes it operate, right? Like human resources, IT, the technical pieces. And so if workforce management is not directly connected into that, they can't effectively supply the demand that the business is producing. The customer produces a particular demand, and so workforce management helps the organization understand kind of how to meet that demand. So I always think about workforce management like supply and demand, right? The business has a
Absolutely.
certain demand that the customer produces. Workforce management is helping the organization navigate that demand by making sure they have the right people in the right place. So when I think about that and I think about what you do from a staffing perspective, can you tell me what are some of the common myths that you see when organizations say, hey, Jewel, we need X amount of people to start by this time?
Mhm.
What are some of the common myths that they don't really, or big mistakes rather, that they come to you and you're like, okay, well, I know you said you need this, but you may actually need this. Like, how do you help them navigate what some of those misses may be so that they can avoid some disaster down the line?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say really the biggest thing that stands out in my mind is that a call center role is an entry level position. And I think you and I may have chatted recently about how that bar to be successful in a call center environment is continually increasing, right? So no longer are the days of, okay, you just got to pick up the phone and talk to people and enter a couple data points, into a CRM. It's now often, having to toggle messaging, texting, still picking up the phone, email, and even just I mean, obviously now with AI being such a big buzzword, so the technology bar is increasing like significantly day to day within call centers. And so that's requiring a higher level of technical aptitude, quite candidly. And so I think sometimes there's this mentality that, oh gosh, these should just be easy to find. And yeah, I know we said, we need 100, but that should be no problem. But, at least at our firm, and especially being niche to supporting call center operations, we are putting every candidate through a pre screening process to determine their level of aptitude, not even just in the technical proficiency, but obviously like core competency in customer service, empathy, etc., to make sure that they really are going to be equipped to be successful working in that environment.
I absolutely love that. I love the myth that you highlighted because it's so, so true that we think of call centers and customer service types of roles as very entry level. But like you just so appropriately pointed out, with the way the industry is shifting and the new technologies that are at agents and employees' fingertips, it does require a more skilled and a higher aptitude for technology, even if part of the technology that you're leveraging, because a lot of companies today are saying, oh, we want to leverage AI because it's going to, require us to need less people. Yeah, but even in those less people, if you need less people, they need to be a highly skilled person, right? To even be able to uh, meet the bar, right? Or do
Or to
when it
navigate
comes to what
those
the
different,
AI is able to do.
yes.
When we're talking with organizations, a lot of times when they're talking about having an AI strategy, we're talking about, we bucket it into three categories because AI could be such a big thing, but we really kind of help center them um, when it comes to AI because we're talking about really three things. Are we leveraging AI to alleviate workload? Are we
Mhm.
implementing AI so we can assist our employees that we currently have in our workforce? Or are we implementing AI so that we can automate some of the tasks that are going to be coming out of the work that our workforce is doing? So, if we think about AI in those kind of three pillars, then what you said about like the new employee that we need in the call center, the aptitude for technology when it comes to assisting them or automating the tasks that come from what they're doing has to be higher. Hey there, it's Juanita Coley here, and I want to personally invite you to book a WFM Discovery call where we will talk through what your CX customer experience and your EX employee experience goals are for your organization and how you can obtain them by leveraging the WFM discipline. Yes, that's right. Workforce management and operations can work hand in hand together, and I want to talk to you about your goals. How can you have culture and have it efficiently? How can you achieve customer experience without sacrificing on employee experience? That's what we're going to be talking about. So click the link, schedule your call at wfmbuildingbridges.com, and I am excited to dive deep with you. See you soon. Next question I have then for you, Jewel, is what is a tip or strategy when you're working with customers and they're like, hey, we need 100 people, or we need these resources? What is something like a tip that you give them about like recruiting the right people, making sure that people stay around, like retention, so that they're not having to come back to you every 2 days because it's like, oh yeah, those people weren't, they weren't good fits after a while because of whatever the ecosystem we have.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, I would say, for staffing and, the organizations that staffing firms support, especially within a call center environment, for it to be successful at its core, it really has to be taken from a partnership approach, right? I mean, I can line up, A plus, call center agents all day long. But if they're, going to work in an environment where they're not feeling supported or there's not that human factor, if you will, that at least in our experience, that's where we tend to see the greatest fallout. So I would say, I mean, I know it sounds probably so fundamental, but really just having that human communication, right? So, we get that call centers, they've got certain schedules that they need adherence to, but recognizing that, life does happen. And so, to your earlier point, especially as it relates to workforce management, making sure that, the people that are scheduled for that day, that it's necessarily dependent on, every player being there, allow for some additional staff just in case for the what ifs that may come up. And really, again, just helping agents feel supported. I think you and I have spoken before. You come from call center. I, was a call center agent, during my college years. And, they're at the front line supporting organizations and customers. And let's face it, not everybody is going to be, super sweet calling in. And so, the expectation is that they're going to continue to deliver exceptional customer service no matter what is being thrown their way. And so I'm a big believer that that same, care and empathy needs to be expressed to them, in their role. And that is where we see the greatest success and really longevity in this type of position.
Yeah, that's awesome. Having, I talk a lot about employee experience, right? And I think so many times organizations get employee experience wrong because they think employee experience is about like making the employee happy. Well, like that's not, and so as a result of trying to make employees happy, then they think pizza parties are the resolve, right?
Right.
These employees don't want y'all pizza parties, okay? They can buy their own pizza, okay? When we think about employee experience, it's really about equipping, empowering, and engaging. And so, what I take from what you just said about one of the tips around having that communication structure and the way you onboard and having that partnership is really like, hey, I can find the people, but if you don't skill them, right, you provide that environment where they are skilled and they constantly have information so that they can excel at doing their job. If you don't empower them to where they can take action on doing what you skilled them on and you don't keep them engaged, right, like from a communication and what they're communicating to them about what the measurements are and what they're going to be held accountable to, then I can recruit and find people all day, but when we think about what the employee experience will be, it will be trash. And as a result, your customer experience is going to be trash. I say this all the time: without an EX strategy, your CX strategy is trash. And it's so true because employees are never going to treat a customer better than they're being treated. Not because they don't necessarily want to, but in sometimes they're not enabled to, right? If
Mhm.
I have to, every time a customer calls in or engages with me, say, "Oh, I can't help you with that because I got to submit a ticket, or I can't do this because I don't know how," then I don't have the skill set. I'm not empowered, so I can't possibly deliver an exceptional customer experience to the customer. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah, you're spot on.
I know we're at these are. I'll go in all day with you, Jewel, but like these are meant to be short and to the point. What else have I not asked you about staffing and how it relates to workforce management and getting the most out of, like company culture that I don't know because I'm not a staffing expert?
Yeah, goodness. That's a great question. Um, I mean, like I mentioned, really helping support them is really the greatest benefit. Um, but then also, I guess second to that would be um, helping them see the opportunities besides just being an agent. I love those success stories of, someone working for an organization for 20 plus years, and they started as an agent, and what they were able to continue to elevate themselves to. So, our goal here at Salem is really to help elevate the staffing industry and, especially humanize, from an agent and company's perspective, so that they can see that, they're not just an agent. They really have the potential to be so much more.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, thank you so, so much for coming through
Oh,
and
thank
dropping
you.
all of these tips, tricks, nuggets with us. Man, that was so, so amazing. I absolutely love Jules' tips around, or first her myth. I love the myth, right? Like, hey, it's just a call center role, should be easy to staff. Well, not if y'all claiming all this AI is going to be as amazing as you're saying is going to be. That's going to require a higher aptitude. It's going to require different type of employee. And so it's not just a call center agent or employee that we have to now groom and create for a better customer experience. So I absolutely love that. And then second, the myth around, or the tip around creating that whole having a partner as anything that you bring in, right? In this case, staffing, right? Like leveraging staffing companies as a partnership, and creating that clear communication. Again, we talk about this all the time around employee experience, not just being your pizza party. Y'all got to stop with these pizza parties, okay? People is tired of the pizza parties. Okay, if y'all want to do pizza parties, I'm not judging you. However, what I am saying is it got to be that's a part of the bigger strategy. And the bigger strategy around employee experience is making sure that your employees are equipped, they are empowered, and they are engaged. And communicating that will help you to make sure that you are best leveraging your partners, whether it is staffing companies, IT companies, BPOs, or whatever the case may be. We need to make sure that we have a way to bring those partnerships in so that it benefits the overall organization and the people that are serving in the organization. Anyway, y'all know I'll go in. I don't want to do that on today. Thank you so, so much for tuning in. You already know what to do. If you have a question that you want us to answer, if you want to be a guest on WFM Tipsy Thursday and you feel like you can add value to this conversation, you already know what to do. Make sure you send me a message. Until next time, go be great and let's make impact. See y'all soon. Bye.